This is grade 7, chapter 5, part 2, organizing outcomes. An independent event is the outcome of one event has no effect on the outcome of another event. Just because I flipped a coin one time and it landed on heads does not mean that the next time I flip it, it will land on tails, because the coin knows it needs to be even. The coin is it's completely random. Every time you flip it, it has an equal possibility of landing on either one, regardless of how many times it happened before. So there's two ways to represent these independent outcomes that we're going to focus on. One is a table, and the second is a tree diagram. So we're going to start by representing outcomes with the table. So a coin is flipped and a 6-sided die is rolled. So we have a die, we roll it, and a coin flipped. So we're going to use this table to represent all the possible outcomes. What the what? We're going to use this table to list all the possible outcomes. So as we're here, we're going to flip. There's two possible outcomes for this coin flip. It's either heads or tails. For the die, it can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. So as we get into this, we know that this will be heads and this will be 1. This will be heads, this will be 2, this will be heads, this will be 3, this will be heads, this will be 4, heads 5, heads 6. This will be tails, this will be 6, this will be tails, this will be 5, tails and 4, tails and 3, tails and 2, tails and 1. So the question's down here. How many possible outcomes are there? We have, independently, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 different possibilities. So the sample space for this combination of events are, we would write it H1, and then H2, etc., 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 etc. Tails 1, tails 2, etc., etc., etc. So there's 12 different outcomes, and we would write each outcome in as the sample space. So at home, a toonie is flipped and 4-sided die labeled 1, 2, 3, 4 is rolled. Use a table to list all the possible outcomes. Please try this at home. Well, I do it here. Heads 1, heads 2, heads 3, heads 4. We'll make this into more of a table. We have tails 1. Sorry. We'll make this green just to keep everything kind of happy. All you color freaks out there, tails 1, tails 2, tails 3, tails 4. I hope your table looks like mine. How many possible outcomes are there? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 outcomes. And write the sample space for this combination of events. Of course, you just write down H1, H2, H3, etc., etc. A coin is flipped, so to represent it with a tree diagram, a coin is flipped and a spinner is spun once. Create a tree diagram that shows all the possible outcomes. There's a couple different ways. Let's say that this spinner has 3 different sides, and we know that this coin has 2 different sides, heads and tails. And we'll put this as red, blue, green. So on the very first, we have 3 different ones that we can go. Red, and we can go blue, move this up here. And we can go green. For each one, if we spin red, we can also get a heads, and we can also get a tails. We can also get a heads if we spin blue. We can also get a tails if we spin blue. And same with green. If we spin green, we can get a head, and we can get a tails. So out of the possible outcomes, we would have red tails, red head. We would have blue tails, blue head. We would have green tails and green head. So 6 possible outcomes here. And there's your sample space as well. So at home, a toonie is flipped and a 4-sided die labeled 1, 2, 3, 4 is rolled. Use a tree diagram to list all the possible outcomes. We're going to start with a coin this time, so we can start with heads. And we're going to start with tails. And for each of them, they have a possibility of 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So as you can see, again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 possible outcomes, and the sample space would be H1, H2, H3, etc., etc., etc. For the homework, please do pages 169, 170, questions 4 through 11. There's nothing on the website this time. Thanks. Good luck. If you have any questions, ask me.